Welcome to Petrol Heads London, and I'm here in the Audi A4 1.4 TFSI, and it's actually alright. It's not my usual sort of car, but it's alright. Let's have a look around it, give a bit of a view of kind of what I think. This is the Audi A4, so saloon car, 4-door with a boot. Boot's a decent size, but somebody like me who's got a dog is probably frowned upon to keep the dog in that. So probably not the kind of car I'd go. So my initial impressions is it feels like a really well put together car, as you'd expect from Audi. And for a 1.4, on quite a heavy little car, okay, at motorway speeds where you're trying to accelerate a bit, it's okay, but actually sort of in those mid-ranges, it's quite nice. It's actually quite zippy and obviously faster than a diesel, but actually still quite torquey with the sort of turbos and superchargers. I'm here in third. It's telling me on its efficiency that I should actually be in fifth, which is very kind of it. But if I try and accelerate to 70, which I can do safely here, there you go, and 70. So, you know, it's quite quick, makes a bit of noise while it's getting there, but yeah, you feel confident. So, you know, there I am, I've gone a bit slower, pulled out into this outside lane. You feel like you put your foot down, the power's there. Yeah, maybe there's a tiny bit of lag in it, but overall, it feels like it feels relatively responsive. And I think some of the other diesels I've driven recently, I've really felt like I couldn't rely on them in those situations where you need to pull out. And now, this was always an excuse I used when I was a kid, when I wanted to get a bigger, faster motorbike, to my parents, that I needed more power to be able to accelerate out of trouble. But do you know what? There is truth in that. And sometimes, or I think most of the time, you're better off accelerating out something than you are braking. And there are cars out there that I feel lack that power and you wouldn't get that. This, I think it's there. In terms of fuel efficiency, so look, I've done some motorway stuff on this, about an hour's worth of motorway, bit of town, and I think I was getting around sort of like early 40s with some relatively conservative driving. So it's not the most efficient, but it doesn't feel like it particularly swallows it up. Now, I'd liken this to the bracket of like the XE that I drove, and to me, this is a mile muncher. Now, this is a particularly low spec one, but one of the things that gets me, and it is the price of cars at the moment, is this is like a £43,000 car in its current state, and it doesn't have a lot of extras on it. That's a lot of money, and I don't think you get a lot of car for that. And what I mean is, there's not a lot of bells and whistles, or, you know, all of the extras that you'd hope for. Yeah, it comes with sat nav and parking sensors, but there's no camera. There's not even any leather seats in this one. It's got climate, but yeah, it feels really basic inside. So it's not a particularly luxurious place to be. Using the menus as well on this, so they're relatively basic, but like, it takes a bit of while to get used to this and go through all the different menu levels and, you know, find the right information. Like even just trying to find the digital speedo took me a few kind of presses and, you know, sort of scrolling through as well, using these little roller wheels on the dash. But kind of moan over, yeah, it's a bit plasticky, but it is the basic model. But there's no rattles, there's no squeaks, and I get that on my F-Type, and it really annoys me in places. And I've had a few of them fixed. It's just speakers or stuff in the door panels. But this is, you know, typical German engineering as you expect it. As ever, the cockpit is the nicest place to be, because this is where it's designed for the driver. So they're lovely leather steering wheels that they have in most of their vehicles. Nice laid out, bright dashboard. As I said, it's a bit of a mile muncher. 6-speed box, which actually, it's a really nice gearbox. It works really well. Downsides are in terms of ergonomically laid out. They've tried to kind of disperse the buttons around And yes, it's got a nice digital display for the climate control, but there are these sort of up and down switches here, and everything just feels a bit spread out. Some of these switches for the drive select, so it's got Audi drive select. I've been driving it mostly in comfort because, let's face it, that's kind of what this car's designed to do. And it's like right down here, it's actually a bit of a stretch. Maybe that's short arm syndrome on my part rather than actually bad design, but it just all feels a bit stretched out and a bit sparse around here. The USB plugs are tucked away in the back of the armrest, so actually, unless you plug stuff in before you go, trying to find them is going to be very difficult while you're on the move. It's a bit of like feeling around to kind of see what's there. You have to excuse me, I'm quite a big motorway, having to change lanes and being good to sit in the right lane. So the other thing I would say, cup holders, always a key thing in a car that you can spend a lot of time in. Now on Audis, they're usually right here, usually in the way of the armrest. Now maybe they've listened to people, but this time they're right here, out in the front. And actually, they kind of, your cup gets stuck here and stuff like that. So I think they've kind of created another problem by solving the old one. As I said, a real motorway mile muncher, this car. It's not going to give you many miles per hour on this one, but what it will give you is really comfortable, easy driving. Quite small wheels, so you know you're not having a harsh ride off low profile tyres, and generally, you know, it's a nice car to be in. If I compare this to the Jaguar, it's different. The Jaguar definitely felt more luxurious. It felt like a nicer place to be, and I think they spec their cars up just a little bit higher than they do on this one. So I've just spent 15 minutes on this bit of motorway, and I've got 41.5 miles per gallon, so that kind of gives you an idea of what its fuel efficiency is like. The other thing I'd say is visibility, and I've said this on other cars in the kind of Audi range. It's really good. It feels really bright and airy. No sunroof on this one either, but actually, yeah, visibility is really good. And the one thing I like is this rear view mirror is a bit like the equivalent of your kind of like flat screen TV with the really small bezel. The glass goes all the way to the edge, and it's actually really nice. You don't have this big bulky bit of plastic around it. That's a really nice touch. I don't know what it is about Audi systems at the moment, but connecting your phone is just flipping impossible. I'm relatively good with gadgets, and I've tried about 5 times to connect to this Bluetooth, and it just won't connect. And I had the same problem in another Audi car as well. So there is something with their Bluetooth system here that just doesn't like it, and I think you have to really initiate it from your phone, which is the problem. What else is to tell you about this? Plenty of room in the back. There's good leg room in this car. It's definitely designed to take 4 people. As I said, the boot's well laid out, hooks and stuff to put stuff in. Overall, it's not a bad car. Laying down the power, I think it struggles a bit sometimes. You get a bit of the old traction light coming on if you really give it the beans off a set of lights or try and overdo it. So, you know, this isn't a performance car. Anyway, thank you for watching Petrol Heads London. I hope you enjoyed this really quick review of the Audi A4 Saloon. Please remember to like and subscribe, and look, I'm really keen to see what you think. Is this the best car in class? Comment below, I'd like to hear what you think. Cheers.